So I'm going to bitch about something.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Yeah.
First time back after honeymoon marriage. You think you'd be happier? Why is Ian always upset?
I am happy about lots of things. And I'm even enjoying the game that I'm going to bitch about briefly here. But it's not really the game I'm bitching about. It's modern video games in general. So I got a PS4. And one of the games I got with it was The Evil Within. I love horror games. I hadn't played one or bought one in a while, and I was like, this looks good. I'll pick it up. So this is like just the first 5 minutes of the game. This is not real spoilers. Tutorials in games these days drive me nuts. I hate the fact that I can't just get a manual anymore. The closest thing you get to a manual is pressing start during a game, and it pulls up an options menu, and it gives you like the basic controls.
It tells you what all the buttons are.
Yeah, what all the buttons are. But so you start the game, and you're hanging upside down, and it tells you how to swing back and forth, using your momentum. And I'm like, okay, so this is a tutorial level, right? So, you grab a knife out of a guy in front of you, and you cut yourself off, right? Okay. And then it says, press X and hold down to, scan your surroundings. So then you see the big brute guy hacking through a corpse on the table. And you're like, oh, well, that's, I don't want to fuck with that shit. So then it's like, okay, now press this button to sneak. And I'm like, right. I got to sneak. I got to sneak around this fucker. Okay, perfect. So I'm sneaking and I'm doing everything as I'm told. And then I get up behind the guy and it's like, press X to stab him. So I press X and I stab him. And then he turns around, and a little scene happens where he pushes me on the ground, chops off my arm, and then chops off my head. And I'm like...
That's graphic.
I'm like, well, okay, that didn't work. I said I did something wrong. I'm going to try this again. So I keep following these on-screen cues because I'm thinking this is a tutorial. Now, in my head, I'm like, I should probably just be sneaking around this guy. And Vonnie's like, sneak around him. Just sneak around him.
Sure.
But because I think this is a tutorial... I'm so ingrained in the idea that this is what the game wants me to do.
So it tricked you into being a tutorial.
Yes.
But it wasn't a tutorial.
But this happens in games too sometimes. And finally, I did. I just ran from because it's like, and then it's like press X to get the keys. So it's literally introducing all the mechanics.
What it sounds like is like when you're playing Magic Sword in the arcade, where when you first get into something, it tells you what to do the first time.
Right, and that's kind of what it is. But it's introducing all of these little mechanics one at a time, and I'm like, this is a tutorial. And then finally, I say F it, and I run away from it, and everything's fine. And just like had the game just given me a manual. And then I got to play the game, I would have beaten that room my very first time because I would have seen a large hulking monster and I would have been like, I don't want to screw around with this, and I would have run from it.
Like you showed someone as a chainsaw.
Yeah, but no, instead, because it's, I'm thinking it's a tutorial. Maybe I'm just an idiot, but if you're, basically, it comes down to this. If you're gonna fucking hold my hand, then hold my hand the entire time and then let me go. Or... just give me my fucking directions on a piece of paper.
What was the precise year you think where this started to really transition up? Where it was like,
I want to say like 2007, 2008, where
so basically like when the 360 and PS3 came out.
Yeah, and some games do it. Yeah, and some games do it well, where they give you a full 20-minute level or whatever, that's a tutorial, and you get everything. But then there are games that just kind of, they don't tell you what they're doing, and it frustrated me to no end.
So basically, the art of good game design has died because a good game will sort of let you discover on your own how to play via the obstacles and the layouts of the first level or so. And now that's totally abandoned for just throw you into something, but we'll hold your hand instead. Versus letting the player discover how to actually play.
Yeah, you're saying that very well. That's kind of that's exactly what I'm getting at.
That's why I'm here.
So and it's happened to me before in other games. The more the game tries to tell me what to do, the worse I am at the game. Because I think I'm supposed to be playing this game in a very rigid structure when you're not always supposed to be doing that. And it drove me nuts. So, I don't know. Anyway.
So what is this about? It's just a horror game, you gotta escape and...
I have no idea what the fuck it's about right now.
You bought a game, you don't know what it's about?
Well, I don't want to know what it's about. The story is the reason I bought it.
What does it say in the box?
Oh, you witness a graphic murder and you have to figure it out. But, I mean, it gets...
But you start up hung upside down like Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back with a Wampa?
Well, not quite. You're in a car. But then there's an accident. And then you're hung upside down. And then...
with a Wampa.
Yeah. And now I got chased by a bunch of, zombie... It's made by Shinji Ikami, and it's basically, a lot of people are saying... Shinji Jesus, I'm saying his name wrong now. Shinji Mikami. Why can't I? Why I know his name, people. Fuck. The guy who made Resident Evil. This is basically
Okay, so horror survival.
This is basically Resident Evil 4 Part 2. This is how it's not part of the Resident
It's not
Evil
the
line,
universe.
but it plays very similarly.
Is it first person or third?
It's third person like Resident Evil 4 was. And it's a lot of fun so far. It's very creepy. You know, you walk past a mirror, it cracks, you walk in, you strap yourself into a chair, and that's how you power yourself up. It's interesting. The zombies don't necessarily appear to be zombies. They get wrapped up in barbed wire and like then they bleed all over. And it's a very graphic game.
Hardcore, yo.
Yeah, but you know, whatever. Anyway,
sounds wicked.
Anyways, those are the times where I turn that off and I go play something like
I don't know.
I just play an indie game or an arcade game where it's like I know what to do because.
Okay,
it's easy.
I'm tired of. I sound old. I don't care. I don't like all the graphic violence in these games. I don't need to see someone get their head chainsawed off. I'm just over it. I don't want to see that in a movie. I don't want to see it in a game. Doesn't mean you can't play it. I just don't. It doesn't appeal to me.
I don't like it in movies. Is the funny thing, but in games, I like playing games that scare me. That's sort of the thing about this game, though, is it's not really scaring me yet.
That's just gore. It's not really being scared.
The PT, the playable trailer, the thing that was all over the internet for a while when they released it, the basically the little demo for the new Silent Hills.
Sure.
That's frightening as shit. Like that, I'm looking forward to.
That's more psychological.
Yeah,
horror,
that's more psychological.
True horror.
And this looks like it's going to become more psychological too, and they're relying less on the initial gross out. But
when you start out with a guy chainsawing your arm up.
Yeah.
How do you digress from that to psychological horror?
Yeah.
That's like having the first scene in Psycho getting the stab in the face,
right.
No, it's not how it works. You're supposed to build
you are
something.
Well, and that's exactly it when in the first enemy you face can decapitate you viciously on the floor.
Enough with the decapitations with the chainsaw. We get it. It's a dangerous, ugly weapon. And also is good at pruning trees.